I will open this meeting of the Upshur County Commission. We will begin with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good morning again, everybody. Jackie will read the minutes. How are you today?
Good morning.
Late as usual, right? When you came up that door, you had maybe a minute to spare.
That's right.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The County Commission of Upshur County, West Virginia, held their regular meeting at the Courthouse Annex on Thursday, July 9, 2015 at 9 a.m. J.C. Rafferty called the meeting to order. There were present J.C. Rafferty, Commissioner, Troy Brady, Commissioner, Terry Cartwright, Commissioner, Kerry Wallace, County Administrator, Tabitha Perry, Assistant County Administrator, and Jacqueline Dicklocker, Secretary. The meeting began with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All motions passed unanimously unless otherwise stated. After reading of the minutes on motion by Terry Cartwright, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved the regular meeting minutes of July 2, 2015 as submitted. After discussion on motion by Terry Cartwright, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved Cliff Shaw to serve as member of the Upshur County Fire Board as recommended by Jeffrey Armentrout, President of the Upshur County Firefighters Association. After discussion on motion by Terry Cartwright, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved the employment of Tyler Gordon as a probationary deputy sheriff effective July 12, 2015 at the rate of $17 per hour, increasing to $17.31 per hour on completion of training at the West Virginia State Police Academy, as recommended by David Kaufman, Sheriff. After discussion on motion by Terry Cartwright, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved the temporary part-time employment of Sheila Adams at a salary of $500 per week, effective on July 19, 2015. Ms. Adams will work not more than 30 hours per week to train her replacement as Chief Tax Deputy. Her employment will terminate on or before December 26, 2015. This agreement is subject to cancellation by written correspondence by either party. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by Terry Cartwright, the Commission approved the employment of Christina Pickens as part-time E911 telecommunicator, as recommended by Stephen Linger, E911 Communications Center Director. Effective date of employment is July 19, 2015 at the rate of $11 per hour for not more than 29.5 hours per week. Doyle Tenney, IBEW Local 596 Journeyman Electrician, and Mike Bickle, Upshur County resident, appeared before the Commission and expressed their concerns regarding the decision of the Upshur County Commission to not pay prevailing wage to workers on construction projects costing $500,000 or less, as was approved by the state legislature. Mr. Tenney presented data and statistics to support his claim that the payment of prevailing wage would not save taxpayers money. After discussion, J.C. Rafferty advised that the Commission based their decision on what they felt was best for the county. Mr. Rafferty commended Mr. Tenney and Mr. Bickle for expressing their views and encouraged them to make changes through the democratic/legislative process. The Commission recessed at 10 a.m. The Commission reconvened at 10 a.m. J.C. Rafferty reviewed correspondence from Lauren Ragland, WB Matters representative, and advised that James Farrell, Office of Emergency Management Director, has responded to the questions relative to emergency planning and water quality regarding the Atlantic Coast Pipeline and Mountain Valley Pipeline. No action was required by the Commission. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, seconded by Terry Cartwright, the Commission approved the West Virginia Division of Highway Structures Division General Sketch Sheet for repairs to the Youth Camp Girder Bridge. After discussion on motion by Terry Cartwright, seconded by Troy Brady, the Commission approved the notice dated July 1, 2015 regarding the utilization of the Emergency Operations Center. J.C. Rafferty reviewed the following for your information items. Number 1, correspondence from Michael Albert, Chairman of the Public Service Commission of West Virginia, appointing Jacqueline McDaniels as a member of the Board of Directors of the Upshur County Solid Waste Authority to a term expiring June 30, 2019. Number 2, correspondence from Charles McKinney, Assistant Chief Inspector Division of the Office of State Auditor, enclosing a report on applying agreed-upon procedures of the Upshur County Magistrate Court for the period ending December 31, 2014. Report is available for public review in the Office of the Upshur County Commission. 3, correspondence from Governor Earl Ray Tomlin approving a Stop Violence Against Women Act grant award in the amount of $30,700. Number 4, correspondence from Governor Earl Ray Tomlin approving Community Corrections Program grant award in the amount of $204,676. 5, Upshur County Tobacco Prevention Coalition, Economic Impact of Cigarette Butt Litter article. 6, Upshur County Building Permits, June 2015. 7, invitation to the Upshur County Development Authority Board of Directors meeting to be held August 5, 2015 at 12 p.m. 8, Upshur County Health Department newsletter, July 2015. 9, agendas and notice of meetings. 9. 10, meeting minutes as listed. 11, meetings as listed. 12, appointments made or upcoming as listed. The Commission approved all invoices for payment. The Commission approved all vacation orders. The Commission approved the following settlements as listed. The Commission approved the following exonerations and/or refunds as listed. The Commission recessed at 12:15 p.m. The Commission reconvened at 2 p.m. I missed a sentence. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, second by Terry Cartwright, the Commission approved and authorized the President to sign the request for revision to the approved budget to be sent to the Office of the State Auditor for approval. Then the Commission approved it. Recess at 12:15 p.m. The Commission reconvened at 2 p.m. Representatives from Upshur County Emergency Medical Services, UCEMS, Emergency Site Protection, LLC, ESP, Upshur County E911 Communications Center, and Upshur County Office of Emergency Management appeared before the Commission to discuss moving forward to create a mutual aid agreement between Upshur County EMS and ESP. After discussion, UCEMS representatives Dirk Brimside, Rebecca Phillips, and ESP LLC representatives Donald Delaney and Shane Zimmerman agreed that they could work out the details of a mutual aid agreement that would be satisfactory to all at a separate meeting between the two parties. Mr. Delaney expressed concerns that E911 dispatchers were not currently allowed to call ESP for backup services and cited a recent incident in which a major accident had occurred and Lewis County was called instead of ESP. Mr. Delaney stated that in this case ESP would have been closer and would have provided a quicker response to a critical situation. Becky Phillips expressed concerns about the availability of qualified personnel since ESP LLC would likely pay more than county government service and expressed that UCEMS could not survive if ESP LLC takes their business. Mr. Delaney reiterated that ESP is not competing with Upshur County. Emergency Site Protection LLC provides many additional emergency services which include hazardous materials cleanup, firefighting support services, CPR training, drug and alcohol testing, and equipment rental and services by surrounding counties. so that medical transport is not their only source of income. ESP LLC plans to make Upshur County its regional office as it is a central location. Mr. Delaney expressed that he started with EMS in Upshur County and promised that ESP LLC will not jump calls, discredit, or hurt Upshur County EMS in any way, and advised that ESP policy states that any employee who would jump a call would be fired. Mr. Delaney discussed getting access to the IRP and silent radio frequencies. Dirk Burnside expressed concerns about the commission not making use of the services of ETAB, Upshur County Enforced Emergency Telephone Board, as advisors. Office of Emergency Management Director Jim Farrell discussed listing one-tier assets, and Mr. Delaney said he would cooperate with that endeavor. J.C. Rafferty requested a motion to authorize Emergency Site Protection LLC to be a recognized emergency services provider in Upshur County. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Brady, the motion passed, contingent on receiving Tier 1 information. Recognition of ESP LLC as a service provider will allow them to access radio frequencies. After discussion on motion by Troy Brady, second by Terry Cutright, the Commission passed a motion to identify response time to a call as 3 minutes, which is standard, with provider to give immediate confirmation/acknowledgement. Parties agreed that if they were going to be out of service, they would advise E911 and/or alternate service provider. Steve Linger inquired if ESP LLC was the requested provider. Do they have the authority to call ESP? After discussion, Mr. Delaney stated that ESP would defer the call to the closest service provider. Dirk Burnside offered his services to counsel ESP LLC in the application process for radio frequency access. Terry Wallace inquired if the company does fire equipment testing and advised that the county has equipment that ESP may be interested in inquiring. Mr. Zimmerman stated that he will follow up. With no further business, on motion by Troy Brady, second by Terry Cutright, the commission adjourned at 3:35 p.m.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as read? If not, I would request a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Well, we have several meetings or presentations set up for today. One at 9:30 with Family Resource Network Tobacco Prevention Coalition recommending that all properties of the Upshur County Commission be designated tobacco-free. That's at 9:30. Excuse me. 9:45 we have Jewel Fisher, Relay for Life representative, reading approval and signature proclamation. 10 o'clock we have Tappan Squires, Jennifer Bennett, and Seth Blake provide the commission with an overview of North Central Swim Association Championship Meet that took place July 10 and 11. And then 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock we have our monthly supervisor and policy board meetings. So we'll go down until 9:30. We'll go down for items for discussion and action or approval until our 9:30 appointment. We have discussion approval of blanket order to remove all existing resignation letters from the law order books. Original approved resignation letters will be maintained in the personnel files. Do I have a motion to authorize the removal of those blanket order initiated on all the files?
I'll provide a short explanation of
Okay,
this as well. Around August of 2014, resignation letters and termination letters were listed under a separate cover. That started under Kelly Cunningham's administration because of the HIPAA violation for health-related issues that were included in resignation letters. And also, in some resignation letters, people tended to mention financial issues that they may have been having. So we did verify with the Ethics Commission that it is not a problem to remove these resignation letters from the law order books. They are properly maintained in the personnel files. So that is why the Commission will be discussing the blanket order today to have those removed.
Thank you for that explanation, Carrie. Is there a motion to approve the removal of those personnel issues and put them back into the personnel files, maintain them there rather than in the law order books?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have correspondence from Michelle Vass, Controller, enclosing depository bonds of First Community Bank for the period July 1, 2015 through June 30, 2016 for deposits in the name of the Sheriff of Upshur County. Approval of depository bonds of First Community Bank July 1st through 2015 through June 30, 2016. And this is, I believe, a necessity because we deposit county monies in that bank, and therefore there must be bonds that preserve and protect the county funds that are deposited therein. Do I have a motion to approve that receipt?
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
In favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have approval and signature of correspondence to Mr. Delaney of Emergency Site Protection, that's LLC, serving as official recognition of emergency site protection as an Upshur County emergency service provider. We approved that at our meeting last week, but this is a formal correspondence in writing that will approve their organization as being an emergency service provider in Upshur County, and they will be dispatched by 911 when necessary. Do I have a motion to approve that authorization, I guess, for the President to sign that approval?
I move the President to sign that.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have approval and signature of correspondence to Opal A. Brown regarding property in Washington District and requesting removal of lawn scraps and miscellaneous debris that has been placed on property owned by the Upshur County Commission. So approval for a signature of President to sign a communication to Ms. Brown requesting removal of that, those items from county property.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have correspondence from John V. McGraw Jr., Chairman of Tanager Public Service District, requesting to renew the term of Board Member Elmer Tenney that is set to expire on July 31st, 2015. Mr. Tenney's new term would be from July 31st, 2015 through July 31st, 2021. Is there a motion to approve that request?
I move we approve that request.
All in favor say aye. There's a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have correspondence from Thana Wentz requesting to be reappointed to serve on the Upshur County Youth Camp Board, also known as a 4-H camp, for another 6-year term effective June 1st, 2015. Ms. Wentz's new term would expire May 31st of 2022. Have a motion to approve that request.
So moved. Second.
All in second. There's a second. You get me confused, fellas. You're responding too rapidly. You're not letting me get a chance to do my soliloquy. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jerry, for that. Okay. We have discussion of grandfathered, non-grandfathered status and grandfather status worksheet. Approval and signature of grandfathered status certification. I will ask Ms. Wallace, County Administrator, to give a short overview of what that implies, as there's 2 grandfathers up here at this point that do not want to be confused.
The new grandfather rule implements the grandfather provisions of the Affordable Care Act. The regulation lets health plans that existed on March 23, 2010, when the Affordable Care Act became a law, to be grandfathered and thus be exempt from some of the new law provisions. Unfortunately, you are not a grandfathered plan. The EPSO health plan took effect after March 23, 2010. However, each year EPSO is requesting that all plans complete the grandfather status worksheet and sign the certification form designating a grandfathered or non-grandfathered status. So you will simply be signing that we are a non-grandfathered plan.
But we're grandfathers, we can sign that.
Yes.
there a motion to approve the signature onto that grandfather plan?
Not
Getting
yet.
non-grandfather status. Is there a motion to authorize signature of that?
I move to authorize signature on that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, we still have a few more minutes, so I'll move down to items for information. We have correspondence from Ron Hooten, District 7 Manager of the West Virginia Department of Transportation, Division of Highways, to Tabitha Perry, Assistant Administrator, responding to her correspondence regarding the intersection of US 33 and Keesling Mill Road in Upshur County. The request will be forwarded to the Traffic Engineering Division of Review and Evaluation. By way of background, we were presented a petition about a month ago, I guess it would have been, by students at Union District School requesting that a traffic light be placed at the intersection of Keesling Mill Road and US 33. And the commission approved that recommendation and forwarded our request to the Department of Highways for further review and study. The commission, however, as was stated to these students and to their staff and teachers and others present, has no authority or legal ability to install devices or to impact in any manner the state highways. But there's a letter that is notifying us that the Division of Highways is forwarding it to Charleston for review. We have Upshur County E911 Communication Center reports for June 2015. We have agendas and our notices of meetings, upcoming meetings. We have minutes of meetings. We have a schedule of meetings at various boards that the commission attends or follow. We have appointments for upcoming vacancies on various boards in the county.
I will make an announcement in
Certainly.
regards to that. We have not received any interest for one of our vacancies on the Upshur Recreational Park Advisory Board, on the Upshur Board of Health, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So if anyone is interested in serving on one of those boards, they can forward an interest letter to the commission.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for July 23rd at 9 o'clock a.m. We still have 5 minutes prior to our next scheduled appointment, so I would suggest we start paying some bills for a few minutes. It being 9:30, it is time for our first appointment. We have representatives of the Family Resource Network, Tobacco Prevention Coalition, requesting and recommending that all properties of the Upshur County Commission be designated tobacco-free. Is there a representative that wishes to initiate the presentation?
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sirs, I'm representing the Upshur County Board of Health primarily, and
You might want to identify yourself, Dr. Reed. I mean, we know who you are, but viewing publicly not.
I will, and the Upshur County Tobacco Coalition. I'm Dr. Joseph Reed, I'm the Medical Director for the Health Department in the county. Tobacco Coalition came to the Health Department Board of Directors meeting recently and requested the action that we're talking about this morning. Board of Health unanimously approved this request and action. On behalf of these organizations and 72% of Upshur County citizens, I request the Upshur County Commission and the City of Buchanan to support the efforts to make the health of Upshur County citizens better by decreeing that properties owned and operated by respective bodies be declared tobacco-free zones, not just smoke-free. As you recall, we sent you, the commissioners, a letter recently, which I will read. Dear Commissioners, over several years, the Upshur Buchanan Board of Health has taken positive steps to decrease tobacco smoke exposure of our citizens by passing the Clean Indoor Air Regulations of March 2007, and more recently, July 14th, 2014, adding e-cigarettes and vaping to these regulations. recognition of the U.S. Surgeon General's 1964 report and many other scientific studies since, indicating major health hazards from the use of tobacco, both as smoked and smokeless varieties. On behalf of our citizens' health, the Upshur County Health Directors request and recommend that all properties of the Upshur County Commission be designated tobacco-free. We note that the Upshur County School System, St. Joe's Hospital, and St. Gobain, the former cohort, are presently tobacco-free campuses. Also, West Virginia Wesleyan College and Weyerhaeuser Plant are making efforts to become tobacco-free campuses. We respectfully request the County Commission take the step of making Upshur County owned and operated properties tobacco-free campuses. We also note that vehicles owned and operated by the county, city, and company-owned businesses are included in the present smoke-free regulations. Signed by myself and the members of the Board of Health. To support the efforts to make the health of Upshur County citizens better by decreeing that properties owned and operated by respective bodies be declared tobacco-free, we've taken these actions. I'd like to introduce my son, Jonathan Reed, who was involved in the original effort for VHS to become smoke-free back in 1991. Of note, there are a few communities that we have identified that have taken this step. Jeremy Wanless, the Regional Tobacco Prevention Coordinator, will discuss that briefly.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Jeremy Wanless, and I am a Regional Tobacco Prevention Coordinator for Region E. And Region E is the central part of the state. That includes Upshur County, Barber County, Braxton, Gilmer, and Lewis counties. And just wanted to speak to a few points today. But during the last few weeks, I know that you have received some materials as a result of the educational campaign that the Tobacco Prevention Coalition has embarked on. I don't want to take too much time in revisiting the bulk of that, but a few things are worth mentioning today. Firstly, tobacco use continues to be the leading cause of preventable death and disease in the state of West Virginia. Cigarette smoking is still the #1 preventable cause of death in the entire United States, killing more than alcohol, AIDS, car crashes, illegal drugs, and suicides combined. Additionally, smoking is blamed for nearly half of the deaths by major cancers in people over 35 years old. And almost a third of West Virginia births recorded a few years ago now were to mothers who smoked during their pregnancies. That was a 2010 statistic. And finally, along with that, even brief exposure to secondhand smoke can be dangerous to health, and this is according to the January 2014 Surgeon General's report of the 50 years in progress since the 1964. Today we're talking specifically about the publicly held properties, and many of the benefits of tobacco-free policies and properties have been presented at various times and cited in both the clean indoor air regulations that have been adopted and also other ordinances in the past, such as the city ordinance 372. So there's no doubt, or really a whole lot of room for debate about the effects of tobacco being harmful. Known factors that are relevant today include tobacco being a known cause of numerous diseases in healthy non-smokers, major contributor to air pollution. It also places children, unborn children, pregnant women, elderly people, and individuals with cardiovascular or respiratory issues at special risk. And additionally causes substantial loss in productivity and can be a trigger for acute episodes of respiratory distress. Throughout the country now, several locations are taking additional actions to reduce tobacco exposure. A few noteworthy things. In November of 2014, the city of Oakwood, Ohio, passed a smoking ban on all city properties. Other cities in the state of Ohio with similar laws now include New Philadelphia, Strongsville, and Sylvania. On July 1st, 2015, the city of Hillsboro, Oregon also passed a smoking ban on all city properties. And recently, in March of 2015, a new tobacco-free rule became effective in North Carolina, covering all government grounds in Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte, including the towns of Cornelius, Davidson, Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and Pineville. It was a very wide-reaching decision. The new rule and corresponding publicity associated with that included 4 major benefits. Firstly, being protection from exposure to secondhand smoke, support and encouragement for people who want to quit. These types of rules lower tobacco use rates overall. And number 4, model the smoke-free norm, which I believe is very important considering what Dr. Reed had mentioned, that about 72% of our population is currently smoke-free, so that is the norm. The city of Buchanan and Upshur County as a whole have been at the leading edge of tobacco prevention in West Virginia before. Upshur County's clean indoor air regulation is strong and comprehensive with the inclusion of electronic cigarettes. And City Ordinance 372 from 2013 illustrates decisively that both the city, the County Board of Health, and the surrounding communities place high value on protecting children and families from these harmful effects of tobacco and have been and are willing to take an active and exemplary leadership role on the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are aware that enforcement of this type of rule has its difficulties. We are hopeful that education and participation will make a difference and that the need for enforcement will be minimal. I'd like at this point to introduce Tim Higgins, American Lung Association board member, as a brief presentation.
Now, to give you a visual of what Jeremy was saying, this is the sound of death. One person, one day. That's the sound of death from every day in this country from crack and cocaine. Nine. That's the sound of death for heroin and morphine every day in this country. 38. That's the sound of death from AIDS every day in this country. 117. That's the sound of death in this country every day of car accidents, including drunk driving. 129. That's the sound of death every day from alcohol in this country. And that includes drunk driving also. $1,212. That represents the number of people that die every day in this country from tobacco. Food for thought. I hope that gives you a visual as to what we're talking about here.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. We note that Upshur County, through the efforts of many, has made progress in tobacco exposure reduction through the Clean Indoor Air Act and the addition of the e-cigarette vaping to the ordinance. We now encourage you to help us go further, regardless of any personal conflicts that might exist, to be a leader in this process and to help improve the health of our citizens. One particular area noted for improvement is vehicles owned by and operated by the respective bodies and businesses, which is actually included in the present smoke-free regulations. You have received printed information to support our position over the last several weeks. We request that you take positive action to support the health of our citizens by declaring your property, our property, tobacco-free zones. We also note that there are economic advantages to this action, both for the respective bodies and for individuals who use these facilities. Thank you for your consideration. Are there questions we may answer?
I have one question. I'm someone that's never smoked. I'm not a smoker. But I noticed that Jeremy was giving some statistics of communities, counties that had declared smoke-free zones. But unless I missed it, it did not indicate, or you did not indicate any in West Virginia. Is there?
Right there, in West Virginia, this step, as far as all cities and all counties, this would be the first one in West Virginia to adopt this action.
Have there been presentations to other commissions or city councils?
Truthfully, I'm not 100% sure about that. I'm one of 10 RTPCs, and I'm not 100% sure. I can definitely get you that information though.
Thank you.
Many have taken the step as far as parks and recreations, and that's been.
I also noted that in your statistical analysis, you 70% of Upshur County citizens. That's not been a survey that was taken. It was basically a determination of the number of people who don't smoke or are not smoking today. So that, so you're saying that 72% of the people in Upshur County do not smoke or have ceased smoking if they did smoke. Is that?
I believe those numbers are statewide numbers.
That's a statewide number, yes, sir.
I can understand, but so there's a survey based by the state or some other organization that calculates that?
Yes, it's a state Division of Tobacco Prevention.
Is there any additional information anyone present wishes to provide?
Of course, you know, the Surgeon General's reports have been a significant bit of information. Among other things, it shows many parts of the body are affected by the use of tobacco.
Well, I agree. I understand that. I can remember back in the 60s, I think it was, that Surgeon General Terry, I think was his name, that initiated the first warning on cigarette packets in the state. I was a young boy back then. But as I say, I never had the desire to smoke or smoke myself. I think sometimes, to me, it's very obvious.
I used to think it was a smart thing to do, but fortunately never got started, perhaps partly because I knew what had happened at home.
Yeah, that's also the same.
JC?
Yes.
Adult smokers in West Virginia, 27.3%, 402,000.
460,000. That's not a population of 1.8 million roughly.
Right. So over almost 3/4 of Upshur County does not smoke or use tobacco products.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments? I don't want to throw this on you, but do you have any comments, or anyone else in the
We'll be making similar presentations to the city council tonight.
You know, I would, but not as the mayor, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Doing it as a public citizen, it does use tobacco amongst, and I would argue 72%, because it's not based upon what is in Upshur County, you're using a statewide research in that case. I understand, and the city understands, I understand, and a lot of citizens understand the issues regarding smoking. It is not arguable that the deaths are substantial and the health consequences from smoking and tobacco use are substantial. We're not going to argue that. What we would argue is that to base upon research and the wants of an organization which is designed to protect the health and safety of its citizens, that we are taking a step, or considering a step, that eliminates or takes out of the process, I would argue, over 50% of the smokers or tobacco users in Upshur County. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that there are any smokers here or tobacco users here that could reply to this besides myself. I might add, I was the only one last time when the county did theirs, the only tobacco user to stand up and say anything about it. I would argue the reason why is because the smoker that is still smoking right now respects the fact and really tries to avoid any secondhand smoke going to any other citizen in the vicinity. I would also argue, as you're walking down your street, particularly Main Street, you're getting more carcinogens than secondhand smoke coming from your vehicles and exuded from your buildings. I would also argue that before you consider the step, as you did before making a comprehensive non-smoking, the city followed behind, but as the county, we would have to almost follow what the county describes as a whole, because we also want to participate and be cooperative in the efforts to continue the use or misuse of tobacco products, particularly amongst our youth. Now, I would ask that you guys discuss this and bring it back to the public at another meeting so that the folks that do still use tobacco can prove that the reducing of tobacco usage already within the last decade, because of such efforts of this organization and other organizations for the education, and not only that, as well documented, made me a little hungry when you said food for thought, is that the deaths are occurring. These are folks that have been smoking for over 50, 80 years, have been doing it when it was encouraged by not only the tobacco companies, but by your government to do so. I would also argue that I've talked to a lot of folks, and with all due respect to Dr. Reed, many doctors do smoke, and they did smoke back, let's say 2 decades ago and before. As a citizen, I do not believe it is the government's responsibility to control and regulate the normal day-to-day habits or personal habits of its citizens. We are here to protect the citizens of our different bodies, but we are not here to mandate where and when they can do any habits. What's the next step? You know, tobacco is understandable. Our youth-age smokers are dropping incredibly. There are a lot of scientific efforts to help promote the use or disuse of tobacco, i.e. e-vape cigarettes. You know what? I understand the issue because it's not been totally researched, but yet it is proving to help reduce smoking amongst teens and adults. And I know it personally from a few friends of mine that have done so. So what I'm asking as a citizen, and which I will ask tonight as a citizen, that this governmental body take into consideration the users of tobacco, and not just because of a few statistics, which I would argue, which is the first time I've heard, based upon the needs of the people that want to either get funding so that they show they're educating and doing something, or trying to eliminate tobacco use within the next 3 to 5 years, because unfortunately that is not going to happen. It is going to continue to reduce. The trends are showing that within the last decade. Education, and hopefully through governmental processes, we can continue to bring that down. But then again, I would argue there's a lot of people who say that, hey, you know what, you smoke, you take that chance. Is it a health issue? Well, most people have insurance and they get that. But if they're dying, well, that's just a few more people on this earth that we don't have to worry about later dealing with anything. Thank you very much.
Any comment again, Dr. Reed?
There are several possible helps for people who have problems with tobacco use. The West Virginia Quit Line, which is actually connected to a national quit line effort. St. Louis Hospital offers individual tobacco cessation efforts. Tim is prepared to offer classes to small groups of people who are interested. I suspect, but don't know the answer, that the Buchanan Medical Clinic in Tri-County, at least on an individual physician to patient basis, would offer support and help. Perhaps we need more. I think that transition is an important part of our efforts, and that, like the mayor says, we will not stop use of tobacco in 5 years, but hopefully this is one measure that might help contribute to that effort and that progress.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I have none. Thank you very much. As to the request for recommendation that all properties of the Upshur County Commission. Or do I have one? No, Joyce. I'm sorry.
I was just going to add.
We have another group here, the 10 of you. It's already running late, but
I couldn't just sit and not make at least one comment, and respectfully, you know, there are several items that I would disagree with our mayor, but one in particular that I just couldn't sit and not say something about, and that's the secondhand smoke. You know, in particular on our public properties, you know, our properties, that's the people's house. Most of the time, and I'm very susceptible to secondhand smoke, creates a lot of issues for myself, but most of the time this is my personal response to this is that they don't think about, even if they're smoking the proper distance from, you know, the entrance of the courthouse or the businesses that the public goes into, don't think about the secondhand smoke that they're causing, and folks having to breathe that. Many times when I'm going in and out, I have to hold my breath and dart in and out, so I am not, you know, inhaling the fumes from the secondhand smoke. And, you know, my experience is most of the time they don't think about that. And I couldn't sit and not say that because of what it personally does to me, and I know to others. So, thank you.
this is not an issue without contention. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that in January of this year, first week of January, marked the 51st year in 1964 that the Surgeon General came out and clearly stated that cigarette smoking was dangerous. What are we going to wait? Another 49? Make it 100 years? The time is now. Thank you.
So again, going back, is there a motion regarding the requesting by the Tobacco Prevention Coalition recommendation that all properties of the Upshur County Commission be designated tobacco-free? Is there a motion relative to that request and recommendation? Also the Family Resource Network.
I think that smoking or tobacco use is a personal preference or decision. I don't think it's a government decision. The properties that we're talking about here, they'll only belong to the non-smokers, it belongs to the tobacco users too. And I have a real problem taking any privilege or right away from any citizen. I think they all need representation. And the indoor smoking ban, I agree with that 100%. But when you step outside in the atmosphere, I can't go along with that. So I'd like to make a motion that we do not ban tobacco products on county property outside of the dwelling.
Okay. So your motion would be to not accept the recommendation of the Family Resource Network and the Tobacco Prevention Coalition.
Would be to not ban smoking or use of tobacco on county properties outside of dwellings.
And that includes vehicles, Trolley vehicles. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
That being motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Doc has something on.
Yes, sir.
I might call to your attention that the present regulations include vehicles.
We have had an issue with a employee smoking in a vehicle, and we did request that they do not continue to smoke in the county vehicle. That was going to be an update in our upcoming revision of the employee handbook.
And this request comes initially from the Tobacco Coalition, but through the Board of Health with their approval.
Have you, well, we have other business, but at some point in time we can discuss it privately.
The current clean indoor air policy of Upshur County includes both municipal vehicles and business vehicles to be no smoking in those. They are an inside area. So you can stand here at the corner and obviously you see everybody.
Since the vehicles are covered, just strike that from that motion.
I think you made, an error there because if that included.
Do you wish to restate the motion?
I move that we do not ban smoking outside dwellings or vehicles.
I don't believe you can do that because clean indoor air policy approved by the health board already bans smoking inside vehicles.
Inside all vehicles or just
That's what
public
I made a
vehicles?
motion to, except with the exception of dwellings and inside vehicles.
Is there a second to that motion as amended?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we are delayed. Apologize to the 9:45 group. We have Jewel Fisher, Relay for Life, reading and approval and signature of proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank you for allowing us to speak. I want to introduce the people that are with me, Dr. Crystal Shaw, Darlene Pills, Gloria Schaefer, and Bobby Sell. They are all on the committee with me for the Relay for Life of Upshur County. This is what we do every year. It's the Relay for Life of Upshur County proclamation. Whereas the people of Upshur County have been affected by cancer, and the mortality rate from cancer in Upshur County is higher than national averages, and whereas Relay for Life is a signature activity of the American Cancer Society, and whereas Relay for Life of Upshur County is not just a fundraiser, it is a unique activity that offers an opportunity to participate in the fight against cancer, to honor cancer survivors, and remembers those lost to the disease, to build a network of businesses and health organizations to address community cancer issues, and to recruit new volunteers to deliver American Cancer Society programs and services. And whereas Relay for Life of Upshur County has had a significant presence in our community for the last 18 years, has touched thousands of our residents, and has raised over $1.5 million to help fight the battle against cancer. And whereas Relay for Life of Upshur County invites cancer survivors, their caregivers, and the community to the 18th annual Upshur County Relay for Life on July 31st at Buchanan Upshur Middle School. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners of Upshur County, do hereby proclaim the month of July in the year 2015 as Relay for Life Month in Upshur County, and urge individuals, families, businesses, schools, service organizations, churches, and neighbors to unite in the fight against cancer, to honor cancer survivors, and to remember those we have lost to cancer.
Thank you. I'm suggesting that I believe you want us to authorize a signature on your proclamation.
Yes.
Very well. Is there a motion to approve the signature of all 3 commissioners on the proclamation relative to Relay for Life?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. If you, Jewel, and your associates would like to come in behind us, we're back on schedule, not just about 3 minutes or 4 minutes over here. We next have Captain Squires, Jennifer Bennett, and Seth Blake for overview of North Central Swim Association Championship meet that took place July 10 and 11. And as always, we know who you are, but the public that is viewing may not know.
That's what we're afraid of.
So please identify yourselves and your positions.
Good morning. I'm Captain Squires, and I'm just part of the representation of the Buchanan Swim Club Slashers. We really just came down to talk to the commissioners and to the support staff, and we've got a big support staff behind us, which is the pool staff. And we just wanted to come down and tell you all, thank you so much for allowing us to have a 2-day championship swim meet at our Upshur Recreational Park pool. It was fabulous, lots of wonderful comments. The weather was even fabulous, which that's hard to imagine because we've had so much rain, but it was very good. But I'm going to let Jennifer Bennett really talk to you about maybe the nuts and bolts and the numbers and things like that. She was the go-to girl. She was behind the scenes doing all the hard work, and she really deserves an awful lot of credit for that. And Seth has also put together a PowerPoint so you can see some pictures. But JC, again, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciated that. So you had a visual of what we were doing, and I always think that's good too.
It was, I mean, I've been to swim meets. My daughter and son were swimming in the earlier years. This was a very festive. I mean, it was a very serious occasion, competitive occasion, but the crowds that were there, I think you indicated there were over 225 participants.
Yes.
In the event. Well, you had the figures, but it was, my impression, it was a festive event. You had people that were tailgating in the parking lot. People that were putting up tents on the grass there right behind the high school. It was obviously everybody thoroughly was involved in the meet, but also it was just a good time. It was a good way to showcase Upshur County, the swimming facility we have, and I think the commission really appreciates your utilizing that pool because that's important to us. But go ahead, Jen.
That's fine. I just gave you all, this was day 1 of the program, so you can look at it if you want to. We have a letter from you in here, JC.
It's from the commission. I signed it.
From all of you, yes. Don't want to leave you two out either. There were 228 total swimmers, 934 total entries. So that was a lot of races and a lot of things being swam. We had 34 relays that happened there on Saturday morning. Out of our swim team, there were 8 records broken, which we have some really, I mean, the records, a lot of them were 20-some plus years old that were broken. The one my son broke was 21 years old. And we had 20 records broken total this year. So that was really exciting, and to have those now in the record books that they were at our pool, that's really good. I'm also the president of the North Central West Virginia Swim League, and we're having another meeting on August 16th. So we're hoping that everybody has wonderful comments and everything, and that, if you all would allow us, that we would have the opportunity to get it back next year.
Well, we have one of the, if I recall correctly, we have a pool that is unique. There's only several pools in the entire state that meets the requirements to have such a meet. And and the opportunity we have to showcase Upshur County, and not only from the standpoint of the competitive swimmers and the benefit they receive and the benefit different teams receive, but also from the standpoint of economics. These folks came in here for a weekend. I'm certain many of our hotel rooms were filled with those folks. They've purchased dinners and lunches, and so it benefits a wide variety, a wide circle of people in Upshur County. And I want to take special note of Greg Harris, our crew that maintains the pool. I don't think I've ever seen it in better condition in terms of appearance. And I hope that you find that to be the same case, but it was, I can't say enough about how impressed I was about the total presence of everybody there. Just everybody was having an excellent time, and that's a tribute to yourselves, certainly, to create that environment. Because I did hear people telling me that this thing was organized. A lot of times you'll go to these events, I guess, and there'll be something that'll be a glitch or something there, but this time people were very universal in their compliments that you all had organized it, and Seth as manager, administrator of the pool, that everything was in place. And I did not hear a negative comment concerning the way in which the event took off. Yeah, it was just a great weekend, a great opportunity to showcase Upshur County, which we always appreciate.
You're right, it was. And because our pool, the way it's designed, we could have a competition pool. And then because we have that 50-meter complex that goes with it, we also made a warm-up cool-down pool using the extra lane lines, so that then we didn't have to break at any point to have swimmers go back in the water and get warmed up, you know, for their events, because it's a 120 event meet, which is a long day. And so they could go in and out of that pool at any time and then be warmed up and ready to go. And I would like to throw back to Greg Harris and to the pool staff. They were exceptional. We really tried to keep them in the loop. We had Tabitha and Greg come up before the meet so that they knew, you know, what our plans were. We were always in tune with what Seth and his crew were doing, but anytime we needed anything, they were there, they were ready to help us to do anything that we needed. So that in itself made things very, very, you know, easy to run and make them easy to do.
There's no pay raise that comes with that.
It's just one of these. But sometimes those are worth more than anything else.
Exactly.
So.
To speak on behalf of the facility, I want to thank you guys, one, for all the help that you've given us. It wouldn't have been possible to hold a meeting this size without your guys' help, simply because I don't know if, without a little bit of money this year, if our facility would have withstanded the onslaught of people. Secondly, I want to speak on behalf of my staff, and once again, thank you guys for hosting this, and thank these ladies behind me for organizing it so well, because there was very little that our staff had to do other than clean a bathroom and watch people swim, making sure things were safe. And if you guys see the lifeguards at any point, you know, I ask that you let them know that you appreciate what they've been doing, because they've really been stepping up, and especially at this swim meet. We had no documented incidents. The only thing that we had, a kid come up and ask for a Band-Aid every couple hours. So
only for blisters.
Well,
well, thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation, and please don't hesitate to come back again if there's some way we can assist you in the future. Like I say, for future meets or whatnot, please feel free to contact our administrators or members of the commission. Okay, now our next scheduled meeting is 1 o'clock, supervisors meeting, and we have a 2 o'clock policy board meeting. So pending those meetings, I guess we can continue paying our bills.